I wasn't going to talk about the Harry Potter show because I'm not planning on watching the Harry Potter show, so why would I even give it the time of day? But I was doing my annual rewatch of the films, and while watching them, I couldn't help but wonder, why are we getting a Harry Potter show? Why are we redoing this? What was wrong with it the first time? So we gotta do the good old rewind because we really need to understand how exactly we as a society got to this point. So after Harry Potter ended perfectly, I might add, in 2011, JK Rowling realized that she had all this world building and supplementary material that she could totally do something with. Looking past the JK Rowling-sized elephant in the room, it's not a bad idea to think this franchise can really expand out beyond Hogwarts. And she decided to take up the writing duties for this new saga. You see, the Potter films were not written by JK Rowling. She was busy writing the books while the films were being made. The films were instead written by Steve Kloves, with the exception of Order of the Phoenix, which was written by Michael Goldenberg. She brought back David Yates, who directed the last 4 Potter films, and in 2016, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was released. A movie that I think is pretty good. I like it. I don't have that many problems with the first Fantastic Beasts film. I do, however, have problems with the fact that it's not a standalone movie, but on its own, it's a really fun time and I'm glad it exists. Then they made 2 more. I'm gonna make a video on the Fantastic Beasts movies one day, so I'm not gonna really get into them here, but to keep it simple, the sequels have some really cool moments, but overall are not good. You could probably argue that they're fun movies on their own, but no one is denying that when put next to the 8 Harry Potter films, they just aren't up to the same quality. And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. WB was purchased by Discovery, and Discovery realized they had this franchise that is a mere husk of what it used to be. So they had some options on what they could do with it. Option 1. You get someone to help JK write these scripts. Sure, Steve Kloves helped with the 3rd one, but JK Rowling is a novelist, not a screenwriter. I figure if you pick the right creative team, they can save the sinking ship that is the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them franchise. Option 2. Build out the world through other media and spin-offs. Just because you screwed up Fantastic Beasts doesn't mean you can't build on the rest of the world. Or option 3, remake Harry Potter. So they picked the 3rd option. When they announced the show, I straight up thought it was a late April Fool's joke, because there's no way a company could be that oblivious to what people want. And the announcement they posted immediately set off the red flags. You're probably wondering why I would take issue with like a 10-second announcement video that doesn't show us anything new. That's exactly why I take issue with it. Because it doesn't show anything new. I get that you wouldn't have anything from the show to show off yet, but the first impression you're giving of your show is the stuff that we liked the first time you adapted it. I'm even willing to say that they'll probably use a lot of John Williams music in the show instead of creating a wholly original score for it. I personally do not feel that it has been long enough between the conclusion of the Potter films and the start of this show for people to accept new castings for these characters. You could bring Marlon Brando back from the dead and have him play Dumbledore, and he would still be living in the shadow of what Richard Harris and Michael Gambon did because it's too recent. And these poor kids they cast are probably going to endure Jake Lloyd levels of bullying purely because they're not Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson. It's a truly baffling decision to put people in roles that do not yet need a successor, and it's insane to me that Warner Brothers, Discovery, and HBO think this is going to go over well. And what's funny is that if you follow the online discussion, people are always talking about whether or not the original trio would do cameos in the show. To answer your question, no, they won't. The three of them want nothing to do with the franchise, they want nothing to do with JK Rowling, and they've been trying to break away from the fame of that ever since its inception. The only person on the original cast who will, and I mean will 100% cameo in the show, is Tom Felton. I would put my life savings on that. I know I've been complaining about the casting a bunch, but believe it or not, that's the stuff I can look past. That's the stuff I and most people can get over. That's not where my major issue with this show to a fundamental level lies. My biggest issue with the concept of the Harry Potter show is that you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice. The Diagon Alley reveal, the kids walking into the Great Hall, Voldemort coming back to life, this shot. All only work because people had never seen them before. And I don't want to hear the argument that the books came out first, because only the first 4 had. But even then, they were working on the first movie before Goblet of Fire had released. And by the time Deathly Hallows came out, Order of the Phoenix was out in theaters. Deathly Hallows, the book, actually came out 10 days after Order of the Phoenix released. And then the theme park opened in 2010 before Deathly Hallows Part 1 came out. Everything Harry Potter-wise was happening at the same time, and everyone experienced Harry Potter together. We've all now experienced it. I said the other day that it would be impossible for someone who has never seen the movies to like them to the level that people who watch them then do, because if you weren't part of Pottermania, it just isn't something that works. Giving the people who grew up with Harry Potter a show adapting the story they have both read and already watched once, and played twice if they played the video game adaptations and the Lego games, just doesn't make any sense. And as much as I want to use the argument that it's meant for the next generation, that argument doesn't work. Let's say that right after the movies wrapped up, you had a daughter named Hermione. I'm just assuming Potterheads did that, so that's the name I went to. And she started reading the books around age 11, which is of course the age that JK thinks you should start reading them. So those kids would be roughly 14 or 15 now, which means they already don't care about Harry Potter anymore. But let's say they did. As a parent, would you say, hey, they're making a show, we'll watch the first season when it comes out, and then given how long TV schedules are these days, we'll watch the final season when you're like 25 and have your own kids. Or we can just go binge these 8 movies that take like 20 hours total to watch. It's the second option. That's what people are gonna do. And then if you've watched the books and you read the movies, you won't have a reaction to the cool stuff that's happening because you were there when they did it the first time, and you can't capture lightning in a bottle twice. The Harry Potter fandom is not growing. It has capped out. In fact, I'd argue it's losing fans far faster than it's gaining fans, and a show trying to capture the golden years won't work when those golden years are still recent enough. It has been 14 years since the end of the franchise, and no one is itching to see the story again. People weren't even itching to see the prequel movies. Speaking of, I mentioned earlier that there are so many opportunities with the Wizarding World that you could be doing instead of remaking Harry Potter. So here are some ideas that I think would make for far better ways to spend money instead of doing the story again. A Marauders movie. A Founders of Hogwarts movie, which by my account is the only thing people actually want you to make. A Tale of the Three Brothers film, and to bounce off that, you could make a killer 5-episode anthology series adapting the Tales of Beetle the Bard. A Rocky-style Quidditch movie. A sequel focusing on Harry's son and the climate of Hogwarts following Voldemort's death. Or Give us the duel between Dumbledore and Grindelwald that you were hyping up for multiple movies. You don't even have to call it Fantastic Beasts to avoid name recognition. Call it something like The Legend of the Elder Wand or whatever. But nope, we'll just do Harry Potter again. There's also so much filler in the books that lends them much better to a movie format than a show format, meaning that a lot of each season is going to be super boring because nothing happens. They don't even get to Hogwarts until like 160 pages into Order of the Phoenix. That's going to make for insanely boring television. Not that this relates to any of the other points I made, it's just worth mentioning. There's a way for the show to work, but they've already made it clear they aren't doing that. If you want to tell this story again, you need to treat it like a fairy tale, because fairy tales are always told differently each time. Take that approach for Potter. Keep the story and the themes and the characters the same. By all accounts, adapt Harry Potter, because that's what you should do, but mess with the designs a bit. Take advantage of the HBO budget and give us a reason to stay invested in the next 7 to 10 years of television. And I'm sure you're thinking that no one wants to see that, but no one wants to see the same story again either. So if you're going to do it again, do it differently. But let's be honest, the show won't make it that long. They're shooting seasons 1 and 2 back to back. But I'd be surprised if the show gets renewed for season 3, and I'd be shocked if we ever actually get to Voldemort in the flesh. Without it even being released yet, I can tell that the Harry Potter show is a show meant for no one. A show catering to people who have already experienced this story multiple times. A show playing it safe because that's far easier than taking a risk and doing something brand new. Dare I say, it's a show catering to the lowest common denominator. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. It would be cool if I'm wrong. But I'll never know. I'm not gonna watch the show. I have no desire to watch the show. The day I hit play on the Harry Potter show is the day I sell my soul to the devil. WB did a Harry Potter adaptation already, and they did it right. And now they want the people that loved it to accept the story again with what looks to be no changes that actually enhance the source material, keeping the general designs the same, priding themselves on being book accurate but picking and choosing said accuracy, hiring people that have never read the books or watched the movies, and then expecting us to hang with them for 10 years without realizing that what we're seeing is nothing special and nothing new. We didn't need a Harry Potter reboot. Harry Potter ended, and the world moved on to the next thing. And they're going to move on to the next thing after that, and the thing after that, and the thing after that, because the magic has already been captured. And it just won't be able to begin again.